Is the new Razer Blade 14 actually worth it for the average gamer, or is it just another pricey ultrabook that looks great on paper? If you're sitting on the fence because you've heard the hype about a 3K OLED screen and a Ryzen 9 chip but also see the price tag and wonder whether you'll end up with a laptop that's more WoW than work, you're not alone. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first saw the Blade 14's 0.62-inch thickness, I imagined pulling it out of a backpack on a coffee break and instantly launching a modern AAA title. That mental image is exactly what most buyers are hoping for, a machine that looks sleek enough to sit on a desk at work, yet can still push 1080+ games at buttery smooth frame rates. The tension comes from the fact that you're asking a single chassis to be a portable workstation, a daily driver, and a gaming rig all at once. If you've ever bought a gaming laptop that turned out to be a heavy brick, you'll recognize that fear. Let's start with who will actually feel the benefits. The Blade 14 is aimed at people who already travel with a laptop and need that extra visual punch for both work and play. Think of a freelance 3D artist who sketches on the go, then switches to a fast-paced shooter during downtime, or a college student who wants a machine that can handle game streaming and run a few virtual machines without coughing. The OLED panel with 120Hz refresh isn't just eye candy, it gives a noticeable reduction in motion blur when you're sprinting through a first-person shooter or scrolling through code. The fact that the display is 3K means you get extra desktop real estate for multitasking, which can replace a separate monitor for many remote workers. On the flip side, if you're a casual gamer who mainly plays titles like Stardew Valley or Minecraft on a modest monitor, you're probably paying for a lot of excess. The Ryzen AI 9 365 processor and RTX 5060 GPU are definitely capable, but they shine when you push higher settings, ray tracing, or VR. If your typical load is under 60 frames per second at medium settings, a thinner, cheaper laptop with an integrated graphics chip could save you a few $100s. Similarly, if your primary use is office work, the premium price is hard to justify when the same battery life and keyboard comfort can be found in a non-gaming ultrabook. Now let's talk about the practical strengths that actually matter day to day. First, the weight and thickness are impressive. At just over a kilogram, you can toss it into a messenger bag without feeling like you're carrying a small piece of lead. That makes commuting, airline travel, or simply moving it from a couch to a desk a non-issue. The chassis feels solid despite its thinness, and the Razer Chroma keyboard adds a subtle but nice aesthetic boost for those who enjoy custom lighting. The 16GB of LPDDR5X RAM running at 8000 MHz means you won't see the typical memory bottleneck when you have a dozen tabs open and a game running in the background. Battery life is often the Achilles heel of gaming laptops, and the Blade 14 is no exception. In real-world testing, you can expect about 5 to 6 hours of mixed usage coding, streaming a video, and a short gaming session before you need to plug in. That's enough for a typical workday if you're not constantly in high-performance mode, but if you plan to game for multiple hours on the road, you'll need a charger handy. The trade-off here is that the thin design limits the size of the battery, a compromise Razer has made to keep the laptop portable. Thermals are another hidden trade-off. The compact body forces the cooling system to work harder, and you'll notice the fan ramp up during extended gaming sessions. The fan noise is audible but not obnoxious, it's comparable to a small desk fan. What matters is that the laptop maintains stable clock speeds without throttling for the first hour or so of play. After that, you might see a slight dip in frame rates, especially in demanding titles that push the RTX 5060 to its limits. If you plan to game for marathon sessions, you may need to lower a few settings or accept a bit more heat on the palm rest. Storage-wise, the 1TB SSD provides plenty of room for a few modern games, a 3D asset library, and your work files, and the NVMe interface delivers near-instant load times. However, there's no extra slot for expansion, so if you anticipate needing more than a terabyte down the line, you'll have to rely on external drives, which can be a minor inconvenience for some. One practical concern that often gets overlooked is the port selection. The Blade 14 sticks to a minimalist approach, a couple of USB-C/Thunderbolt ports, a single USB-A, HDMI 2.1, and the headphone jack. You won't find an SD card slot or Ethernet port, so you'll need dongles if you rely on those. For most gamers who already use a dock at home, this isn't a big